deal. But, we're all getting ready. I mean, I'm sure we're all on the same bus. So Dak was probably getting ready. And if you saw the pictures and the videos of him, what he's wearing today, the drip, if you will, it took a little time to get ready. So all this was going on as expected. It's never when you're not doing anything. It's when you're about ready to get started for the Week 1 opener.
Well, it certainly is exciting. But how does this change the cap situation moving forward? How does this adjust things for the Cowboys now?
At some point I'll understand all of how it works, and it probably won't be today, because as odd as it sounds, $60 million a year guy lowers the salary cap for the Cowboys.
Wow.
That is the case. They have more money on the cap, but don't expect them to go do anything with it. We know who's out there and who's not out there. They're not going to be able to do a lot. What they're going to do is roll over that money to next year. Next year they're going to be hurting in more ways than one. We know that. They've been anticipating that. So a deal like this kind of will help with that. But one thing we know is that we know the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys is going to be this year, next year, and several years to come.
Now, along those same lines, they get Dak Prescott's deal done. They get CeeDee Lamb's deal done. Of course, there's some more down the line. I mean, we'll talk Micah Parsons and DeShaun Bland and a lot of these other contracts in years to come. But how much does this clear the way for football to be the main priority again here in 2024?
Well, I don't think the ink's even dry. I don't even know if they've signed it yet. Kyle, you're already moving on to the other guys. No, but that's kind of the way it goes. We understand that. Starting to pick up a little bit as far as noise. I think, did you also say what does that mean for this game today or moving forward to the season? I'm sorry.
How does it take away a little bit of the pressure of being in the middle of this 2024 season without that contract to talk about?
I think it takes some pressure away from Dak's standpoint. It has to, right? I mean, the security, the guaranteed money, and all that. But from what we've always heard from Dak and the things that he says is that just he's driven by going out here and winning games for this team. He said more than anything he wants to be the quarterback that leads the Cowboys to where they haven't been in 29 years. We all know that. And so the pressure's always going to be there. I think when you're the quarterback of the Cowboys and you take that shotgun snap or every throw, every pass, every handoff, every game, the pressure is there. Now he's got to go live up to it. He's got to live up to that contract. And I think he's built to do that.
Nick Eatman joining us live from Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. Nick, thanks so much, and we will talk to you here down the line. So now that the Dak contract is done, it is time to get back to football, which means it's time for us to get back to Cowboys Pregame Live crew. We've got Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. We also have some members of the Cowboys Club being the fan wall behind us for the first time today. We've got some fan supporters here. Everybody's excited for football, but Isaiah, I know this was a contract that you thought would get done. Are you surprised at the timing of it all?
I am not surprised by the timing of it all. We just knew that it had to be done by the time that they kicked off at 3:25 p.m. because you know that if they were going to allow Dak to step on this field with any security pass this year, then you knew that you were going to be playing into a field that you really didn't want to mess with, where 31 other teams were able to open up their checkbooks. Now you have Dak. Now you have CeeDee. You got your point guard and your center locked up. It's good to go.
Yeah, this was a smart move from the Dallas Cowboys as an organization, having your QB1 signed, sealed, and delivered for the foreseeable future for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, for me, you don't have to worry about negotiations, contracts, talks looming over this team throughout the regular season. It's all signed, sealed, and delivered. And just like Isaiah said, you got your two best offensive weapons signed and ready to play football. Now, all got to do is take business on the field.
96% guaranteed, right? If Dak would have made it a free agency, it would have been 100% guaranteed because somebody was going to open up that wallet. Hey, Mr. Jones says deadlines make deals. Great deal.
And what about the deadline, too? I mean, we're talking day one.
Yes.
This is week one of the NFL season, and it's a completely different feel now that this is done. Does it affect things from a player standpoint? I know a lot of times business is business, and business is separate from football. Does this change anything for the guys around Dak Prescott as they take on Cleveland today?
I think it affects Dak tremendously from the standpoint that now he has a sense of security. Now Dak can go into this game and understand I can let it loose because if I get injured by playing free, I am still protected. The one thing that would have been the case had he stepped onto this field today and it just been this 1 year left on his deal, he probably would have been a lot more tentative and would have taken less risk and been more safe in terms of how he approached the game, because guess what? Beyond this year, there was no future.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that one. When you talk about it, just has to ease the mind of Dak Prescott going onto this football field. You don't have to worry about injuries. You don't have to worry about pressing. I got to put up these crazy numbers in order to get this contract. Everything's situated now. Now all you have to do is go out there with your offense and perform.
You know what, man? I don't know. Back in my day with Don Perignon, and he probably telling his wife, pop the bottle as soon as we win this game, baby.
Love it. Congrats to Dak. Of course, I think everybody's happy for Dak as a person, as a leader, and a franchise quarterback. Quarterbacks don't come around all the time, but he does have a task at hand today against this Cleveland Browns bunch. What's the number one thing you're looking for today, Isaiah, as the Cowboys open their season?
I'm looking for consistency. I want to see the offense be able to move the ball, especially on the ground, be able to control the time of possession, because that's something that Cleveland really prides themselves in. And then obviously on the defense side of the ball, they have to be able to defend the run. If you can't defend the run against this Cleveland offense, then you're in a world of trouble, because all they're going to do is move the chains and make sure that your offense doesn't touch the field.
Yeah, offensively, I'm looking at those two young offensive linemen that we have, Connor Beebe and Tyler Guyton on the outside. How are they going to hold up against this vaunted defensive line for the Cleveland Browns? And defensively, communication. This is a whole new system they're putting in there. You got the quarterback on that side, Kendricks, to be able to help the defensive line, help the secondary as well. So I'm looking for that communication on the defensive side of the football field.
And I'm looking for the same thing. It's just a repeat. Our offense be very consistent, run the ball, situational football. Yeah. If it's first down, try to run it a little bit. You know, give these young guys a chance to do what they got to do. Defensively, I want to see where Lindale, Joseph, and Jordan fit in. Yeah, I want to see where they fit in, because Mosley was just a little inconsistent during training camp.
Yeah, and this is also the fourth time the Cowboys have opened up against the Cleveland Browns. Lately, anybody that's not named the New York Giants, it has been a bit of a struggle. The Cowboys, since 2009, are 0-7 against teams that aren't the New York Giants to open the season. So is there something to that? Is that something that the Cowboys can maybe figure out? Now, they are 6-1 against the Giants, but 0-7 against other teams. Is there something along those lines?
I don't know. Miss Cleo might be a part of this, but I don't know. The reality of the matter is, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, right? I'm not a historian when it comes to that stuff, because it has no impact as to who I'm stepping on that field with today. Those guys need to go out there and have their own goals, have their own missions, and then make sure that they have their own execution so that they can go out here and get the W. Yeah,
it's all about what you're going to do today. You know, the past is the past. They're great against the Giants. We all understand that. But this is not the Giants they're going against. This is the Cleveland Browns who made the playoffs last season, having a great defense out there. So now you just got to focus on the task at hand, go out there play by play, and make sure you handle your business.
I have no answers, but this is Mr. Superstition talking about doing something. This is Mr. Superstition, man. He'll put on the same socks every show.
You got to. You got to.
He's not wearing socks.
No. He's going to be naked every game.
Same drawers, too. Same drawers.
Okay,
without the handlebars.
Let's talk a little bit about Mike McCarthy here. This is a big year for Mike. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. We talked about Dak and going into a contract year. Now it's just Mike McCarthy in a contract year. So his regular season wins, his losses, 42 wins, 25 losses. That checks the box. Wow, you're looking fantastic. It hasn't looked that way in the playoffs, though. Nate, I'll start with you. How much pressure is on McCarthy to get it done when it matters most?
None, Kyle and guys, none, because this guy's been there. He's been in his fifth year. And I think last time he won a Super Bowl, this guy knows how to take the proper steps. He's got everything in priority. Win, regular season, take it into the postseason, get to the NFC Championship game, boom, they're going to throw the wallet at it.
No, I'll have to disagree with you a little bit on that one, Nate. When it comes to Mike McCarthy, I think this is a make or break year for him. All right, we understand he's a great Super Bowl winning coach out there, but does he have what it takes to get them over the hump when you talk about the playoffs? We understand he's 12-5 seasons. He's going to be able to get this team to the playoffs, but can he get them over the hump? Can he get them to that NFC East Championship? I think that's what the question that Mike McCarthy's going to have to answer this regular season.
I know y'all went different directions with each other. I'm going to go with you, BC. Reason being that because Coach McCarthy is not only bearing just his own what's the word I'm looking for here? Legacy. Okay, he has a whole bunch of other coaches and their families that have to eat off of his plate. And the reason why is because if they don't win, not only in the regular season, but if they don't win in the playoffs this year, then they all go home and they're all looking for a job. So when you talk about carrying the load and can make sure you're carrying the backpack, well, you got a whole coaching staff that's in your backpack right now, and you're responsible for them.
It is going to be a win or go home mentality all year long for Mike McCarthy. McCarthy and company. Let's hear from Mike on what he had to say about the expectation and the pressure going into this 2024 season.
The hardest part about scrutiny is really, I would think every head coach would answer it this way. It's really not about standing up here in front of the cameras or it's in front of you wonderful people. It's really your families. It's that's the group that has to learn to deal with it. But for me, I just look at that as part of my job responsibility.
Saudi, Sophia, Mike, with the pressure to win, your contract status, all that, how do you deal with that pressure? Are there things that you do, ways that you think that help you kind of handle that? Well, just the way you expressed your question, that's really, it's not a viewpoint of mine. This business is about opportunity. I'm thankful and appreciate the opportunity in front of me, and that's really how it's been. I mean, and I get what goes in contracts, and I really don't want to speak on it because I haven't spoke on it because there's really nothing to talk about because it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is today, and that's really, I think, something that we can all just stay in touch with because we do have responsibilities, outside of winning games, and but the only thing that truly pays the bills is winning games. So, and that's where my mind's at. I mean, I'm 30 plus years into this, so we know how things work. But yeah, I can't stand up in front of a group of men and consistently on a daily basis demand that they focus their time and energy on winning. And then I'm up here talking about things that have nothing to do with winning. So I guess that's how I deal with it.
So Mike McCarthy knows a little bit of what you're looking for whenever it comes to pressure. Just a reminder, in year 5 of his tenure with the Green Bay Packers, what happened?
Oh, got some jewelry.
Got a Super Bowl win,
He
right?
won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, not saying that's the case this year for the Cowboys, but it is something to look forward to because he knows what it takes in order to get this thing done. Now, this year, the motto for Mike McCarthy and company, rooted. That's a number one thing on their mind. They are rooted, they are staying in the present, and they're trying to find a little bit of growth in year 5 after watering a tree. They equated it to a Chinese bamboo tree. Okay. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to water it for 4 years and then lead it into 90 feet of growth in the 5th year, which is what the Chinese bamboo tree does. I'm not going to try and say the name, but I do want to say that is the metaphor, and that is what Mike McCarthy is looking for. Now, let's go ahead and hear from CeeDee Lamb and company because CeeDee, I mean, there's a lot to talk about whenever it comes to CeeDee Lamb. 4 years, $136 million. We're just giving out money all over the show today. So, Barry, what does this contract do for CeeDee Lamb and company now that he has this one signed?
Well, it's similar to what Dak Prescott did. I mean, it's going to ease his mind out there, knowing that he doesn't have to go out there and press and force the issue to go ahead and get that thing done. And I'm glad it was able to get done because he is your offense. You couldn't go into this week 1 matchup relying on Ferguson, Tolbert, and Cooks to be your passing attack. I just don't believe it would have been as productive as a CeeDee Lamb out there. And this is a question maybe for you, Isaiah, because you play quarterback and wide receiver as well. With about 6 practices left, that's when the deal got signed. Is that enough for CeeDee Lamb to go out there and still be in football shape and still have that connection with Dak Prescott like they had last year?
The answer is no.
Okay.
The answer is no. I would like to think so, but the reality is there's this thing called soft tissue injuries, and people might hear that term a lot, but what it is muscles. You're growing, your hip flexors, your hamstrings. The stress that you're applying on that when you're running routes with other people pushing against you versus running routes on air and make sure that your lungs are conditioned. Those are 2 separate types of conditioning. So when you hear football condition, that's what we're referring to, having bodies against you because that game is physical. In regards to what does the contract mean to CD, it means absolutely everything that CD and Dak are both signed because now, if you guys have seen Talladega Nights, you got to shake it before you bake it. And those guys are both together now, linked for the next 4 years.
And both guys wanted the contracts to be done. Yes. Both guys. CeeDee Lamb said, I want Dak Prescott here as my quarterback. And Dak Prescott in return said, I want CeeDee Lamb to be my top wide receiver. So the fact that both of those guys are linked, that's something that Cowboys fans can look forward to. No matter what the rest of the team looks like, of course, you would love to see some extra stuff around those 2 superstars. But there's a lot to look forward to with this offense. But that does beg the question, who else has to step up outside of those 2 guys? because there's Jake Ferguson, who, of course, a lot of people are excited about this year. Brandon Cooks, who has an opportunity. Jalen Tolbert can take a big leap going into year number 3. Who do you feel like steps up the biggest?
I have to go with Jalen Tolbert on this one. And to me, I believe that CeeDee Lamb, yes, he's going to get his. He's going to get his targets. He's going to get his receptions. He's going to eat. And I feel the same way about Ferguson as well. He's going to go out there and eat. To me, when it comes to passing situations, defenses, they're not going to put all their resources to Tolbert. All right, I'm just going to be real like that. They're not going to put all their resources. He's going to have one-on-one opportunities, especially when you talk about man-to-man coverage. If he can continuously win those one-on-ones and at least present Dak Prescott with a good target out there, I believe this passing attack can reach even bigger heights than it did last season.
All right, I'm going to go with 2 other names. I'm going to go with Jake Ferguson at the tight end position, okay, number 1. I think that's Dak's number 1 guy. We talk about his security blanket. That is exactly who that is, and I believe that he will be a Pro Bowl tight end this year. And then on the other hand, nobody's saying his name, Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle is going to be the man. He won't be the one who gets the start, but it doesn't really matter who starts in this offense because it's all about rotational and running back by committee. I think Rico Dowdle is the only running back on this roster currently outside of the Deuce Vaughn, who's going to be in there sprinkled in from time to time, who has the ability to be a power back, be a third down back, and have the acceleration to be able to go for long distances to enforce big plays.
I like it. I do, because that's an undersung part of this game. Now, we'll talk more about the running backs here in a moment, but the most receiving yards per game in Cowboys history, CeeDee Lamb had that. Look at what he's done up there at the top. There's a guy down there on the list that we'll talk about a little bit too, Amari Cooper. How about that? Receiving yards per game. CeeDee's had an incredible career, but Amari Cooper was doing some big things while he was a Dallas Cowboy. But now he wears that helmet. He wears the orange helmet of the Cleveland Browns. What's the type of challenge in facing a guy like Amari Cooper for the first time since he's switched teams?
Well, get your popcorn ready, all right? Because this guy right here, Amari Cooper, is one of the best route runners in all of the National Football League. When you talk about whatever you want, shallow, intermediate, deep route, he has it all within his tool bag, and he's known for his double moves, which we've seen this secondary for the Cowboys be susceptible to. You got to keep your eyes on your luggage when you're going against a guy like Amari Cooper. He's a technician out there. He's a great route runner, and he's very quarterback friendly. So the Cowboys, get your popcorn ready, man.
And because of those double moves, you better make sure that you stop the run, because if you stop the run, then you negate the play action play for the Cleveland Browns, and then you negate the ability for him to use those double moves to get over the top of your defense. The reality is Cooper he's one of the best route runners, to your point, right? But not only that, he wants some get back at the Cowboys. You can best believe that they're going to try to highlight not only DeShaun Watson's ability to be able to get the ball out of his hands, but also be able to get Amari Cooper the ball back in his hands again so that he can have one up on his previous team.
And that's a big one, too. He talked about it earlier about how much he respects the guys that Dallas will throw at him. I mean, Jordan Lewis was a teammate. Trayvon Diggs, he was around. DaRon Bland, he's out there on the edge, right? He's going to be ready to go in week 1. Not so fast. Preseason injury, of course, DaRon Bland not available. But the Cowboys are really excited about what they've seen from the rookie, Kalen Carson. Let's learn a little bit more about Kalen and what he brings to the table with Nicole Hutchison.
You know, Kyle, I talked to Kalen Carson one-on-one in the locker room and asked him about filling the shoes of DaRon Bland, and he told me, I'm feeling good, right? He's always been a confident guy since he was a little boy, right? But being here with the Dallas Cowboys, Al Harris has taken his confidence to a whole nother level, and it's helped him for games like this and moments like this.
Trey Lance, he's looking to push it downfield.
From smothering Cowboys pass catchers in training camp.
And that's Kalen Carson, the walking seatbelt.
To making receivers buckle up in the preseason. Kalen Carson's already become a hot topic within the Cowboys secondary.
He's very poised, just, going through camp and going with the ones and having the practices against the Rams and stuff like that. You could tell that he was ready for the stage.
A stage that's set sooner than expected. No DaRon Bland for 6 to 8 weeks. So insert the 5th-round rookie, week 1 at Cleveland.
To be honest, I feel like everything happened for a reason. I'm more than prepared. I wouldn't say that I expected it, but I'm prepared and I'm ready.
Another case of preparation meets opportunity. It's no secret the cornerback room has battled injuries over the years, but all have one common theme: next man up.
We've just been blessed, man. It's luck. I don't know what it is. I mean, the scouting department does a really good job, and Al, honestly, going out there and seeing what he wants on tape.
Originally brought in as a depth piece for his grittiness and long list of pass breakups at Wake Forest, but in just 4 months of working with Al Harris, he's shown that his ability to disrupt receivers and physicality now comes with ball hawk skills. He hauled in 2 interceptions in Oxnard. Keep in mind, he had 3 his entire college career.
I like the blank canvas, but knew coming in that this kid was going to be raw, but extremely talented, and he's doing a great job picking up the coaching points, competing.
Love his instincts and ball skills, so it's one thing to have them, but then when you start getting your hands on balls in practice and PBUs and things like that, so every time he's been given an opportunity, he has shown early that he belongs.
More opportunities sometimes comes with pressure, but the challenge isn't too big for the rookie.
I don't try to make it a big moment. It's going to be any other game. I've been playing football all my life, so I just feel like nothing changes.
Coachable, consistent, confident, and composed. Things you just can't teach. And it's something Carson looks to put on full display on Sunday.
It's an opportunity of a lifetime. You wait for this moment as a child, and it happened to be my first game. So I greatly appreciate it, and I'm blessed to be in this position.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Of course, it is going to be a challenge. Barry, you played in the secondary throughout your entire career. Not only is this a first start, not only is this a first opportunity at the NFL level, but you're doing so against the guy who's been a Pro Bowler in the past. Oh, and by the way, he played for the team that you now currently play for. What kind of pressure is Kalen Carson under today?
There will be pressure because he's filling the shoes for one of the best ball hawking corners there is when you talk about DeShaun Bland. So there is pressure on him, but thankfully he's playing underneath one of the smartest defensive coordinators in all of football, and I'm talking about Mike Zimmer. So he won't be out there by himself. Zimmer will find some way to go ahead and protect the rookie, whether that's leaning a safety over top of him to protect him from those vertical routes or buzzing an underneath defender to help him on those short, shallow, or intermediate routes. But this is an opportunity for Carson to go out there and show what he has. Everybody wants this opportunity when you start playing football, is what you dream of, and it's time for him to step up and show what he got.
Well, Coach Zimmer will be a beach towel for Kalen Carson, meaning he will not expose him, okay? He's going to wrap him up the entire time because he does not want him isolated on Amari Cooper. You do not want a rookie against that man right there. He will expose you all day long if your coach puts you in that position. The one good thing about Coach Zimmer, unlike Coach Dan Quinn previously, Dan Quinn did a lot of one-on-ones, okay, which allow for you to show off your abilities versus the opponent. But that exposes you when you're a rookie against a veteran. Coach Zimmer is going to do a lot more zone schemes, okay, a lot more cover two, a lot more cloud coverage, okay? There's always going to be somebody that is assisting and being over the top of you. Kalen Carson would never be by himself. He would be responsible for an area majority of this game.
There was so much insight and knowledge there, but I still can't get past the beach towel. I mean, what are we talking about?
Got to cover him up, right?
Got to cover him up.
Okay, so Barry, take me back a little bit. You helped Morris Claiborne as a first-round pick. You helped him get ready to start in his initial NFL debut as well. What can these secondary guys help Kalen Carson do for the same task at hand?
Communication is the key, and it's the most important thing when you're going out there as a rookie. You got to understand what you're doing. I mean, this is a lot going into your first game as a rookie. The playbook, it seems ginormous, but if you got guys out there like a Kendricks, like a Hooker out there that can communicate to you exactly what you're supposed to do and what your responsibilities are, it'll ease your mind a lot. Okay, I got this guy man-to-man. This is where my help is. All right, I got a zone package. I got help underneath, but I'm responsible for the vertical routes. If you understand what you're supposed to do before each and every snap and you're not guessing out there, it makes the game a lot easier.
And he's not the only one as well. I mean, this is a team that is laden with rookies. 4 different rookies are going to start along that, not only offensive line, because you've got 2 guys up front with Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, but you've got 2 rookies on the defensive side. Maris Leofau, the 3rd-round pick out of Notre Dame, and then you've also got Kalen Carson as well. Isaiah, what does that tell you about this roster, and what does that tell you about the draft class and how much trust they have in those guys?
They're smart. They're smart, and they were able to get in early and understand exactly what their role is in these schemes. In order for you to come in and be a starter on defense, not only, aside from Kalen Carson coming in and filling in for DeShaun Bland as an injury, but Maris Leofau coming in and starting at the linebacker position. This is a position group that was lacking last year in terms of depth. Now all of a sudden you're able to come into that room and have an impact not only on the position in terms of your skills, but also in terms of your instilling confidence in this new defensive coordinator coordinator, it means a lot in his ability to be able to come in and adapt to this new system.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, like you just said, how smart these individuals are and how much trust that the coaching staff has in these guys to be able to throw them out there week one against a team like the Cleveland Browns. And now, to me, out of those 4 rookies, I'm only slightly concerned about the 2 on the offensive line because we know who they're going against. All right, they're going against the former Defensive Player of the Year in Myles Garrett. We all understand Guyton's going to get his fair share, but they move Myles Garrett along that defensive line. They love to put him over the center to give him that two-way go rush against that center. So to me, the 2 rookies, they're going to have their hands full, but the coaching staff trusts them to go out there and get the job done. Let's hope they're right.
Mike McCarthy talked about this rookie class and said it's one of the strongest and smartest rookie classes he's ever seen, both in Dallas and in Green Bay, and even prior to his time as a head coach. So there's elements to this rookie class that are building blocks on one another. This is also on the heels of a 2022 class, or a 2023 draft class, I should say, that was not very successful. How much pressure does this put on the second-year guys like Mozzie Smith, Luke Schoonmaker and company, the fact that these rookies are already starting and showing some impact?
I don't think it applies any more pressure onto these guys that are already remaining on the roster, because there were some guys from last year's draft that are no longer here. But there are the guys that remain. You have to show up and show out. And regardless of how long you've been here, what your tenure is, the expectation is that you show up, do your job, and execute it at the highest level possible to create the biggest impact for your team.
Yeah, you can't worry about who was drafted where. This guy was first round or this guy's a second round. Oh, he's performing like this. You got to focus on the task at hand and what you're going out there to perform. There's already enough pressure on guys that if you're a first round draft pick, I got to perform. I got to be able to stop this run. Focus on your responsibilities and don't let anything of the outside noise affect you.
There's going to be a lot of eyes on the rookies this year. I mean, all the way across the board, and not only the starters, but some of the guys that are waiting in the wings as well, because the pressure's on second-year guys, pressure's on everybody. They got to step up, and we're going to have to do so starting here in week 1. But I think the first one that'll have eyes on him is Cooper Beebe, because he's going to get the start at center, so that means he gets to start the play every time on offense. Let's hear from Cooper Beebe and some of the growth he's already shown throughout training camp and this preseason that has helped set him up for this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Browns, they got some big, strong dudes there. Obviously, Myles Garrett's on their line. They got some dudes, they're a lot of veteran guys, so it's definitely going to be a challenge, and it's something I'm looking forward to. I got to go out there and prove I belong, and, what better team to do it than the Browns.
Mike McCarthy's talking about how prepared you guys were as a rookie class coming in here for OTAs and minicamp. Are you guys going to build off each other with that, and has Tyler kind of maybe helped motivate you guys and vice versa to really be prepared?
Yeah, absolutely. Just from the jump, I was meeting with our assistant O-line coach, and he's been getting us right since the jump. And like you said, us rookies getting together, especially we have 3 O-line rookies, and really just quizzing each other and making sure when we got there, we were as ready as it can be, because when you first get here, there's that big gap you got to breach, and the more time, the more reps you get, the slowly close that in, and we definitely lean on each other for sure.
So not only is it an NFL debut for Cooper Beebe, but it's also a position change. He played guard during his time at Kansas State, taken in the 3rd round by the Cowboys, and really from the jump, the expectation was that they would move him to center. Also, the same can be said for Tyler Guyton. He didn't really play a whole lot at left tackle, just one collegiate start during his time with the Oklahoma Sooners and TCU Horned Frogs. So Nate Newton, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champ on the offensive line. What is the task that's really been put in front of these offensive linemen when it comes to the Cowboys rookies?
For Cooper Beebe, man, to be able to snap that ball short, right up under, when he comes right up under the center, and when he steps back, those are big things that he has to do. But this is the most important thing. He has to get the offensive line set, and he has to say over, under, because they play a 4-man front, Cleveland. So it's an over, under, or it's just an even. So he's got to make that call, and he's also got to tell where the protection at. And I'm talking about in a pass situation, he got to go to the Mike, to the secondary guy. Yeah. And he's telling his offensive line, hey, we have the Mike, who's 58, Jordan Hicks, out to this guy. And then Dak has the next guy, or the running back has the next guy. So he's got to make all these calls while he may have Myles Garrett, or Shelby Harris, or Delvin on top of his head. Yeah. So it's a hard job for him. But our tackle, our left tackle, he's going to have to be danced for the devil, because he got to place. How you have Zadarius
Smith.
Smith. He's a nice guy. You got Myles Garrett once again, who they move around. So these guys have their hands full, but all we have to do is preach technique, and be physical with your finishes.
They've had a ton of reps throughout training camp and the preseason, both in games and in practice. But have they had enough of a ramp-up period and enough of adjustment to get ready for a moment like this?
No.
Okay.
This is where the bullets fly. This is where things jump off the map. They're going to have to rely on what they learned in college, what Coach Solari has taught them in practice, because now they had great practices against the Rams, two scrimmages against Rams, and they got a taste of it. But this is 0 to 1,000 miles an hour, and that's a lot different. Yeah. That's when you have to depend on your technique and be able to finish blocks.
So it's safe to say that you can possibly see a couple of mishaps in game number 1, week 1?
I hope not, but these are grown men. These are not your guys in college where 90% of the time you're the better guy. You're facing guys that are equal or better than you, and plus they got that knowledge and wisdom on how to play you.
And depending on who you talk to, one of the best defensive fronts in all of football is waiting in the Cleveland Browns here in week 1. So you don't have any time to adjust. It will be a matchup. Now, we're going to try something new here on Cowboys Pregame Live. We love getting fans involved. So every week we're going to take a fan-submitted question. So this is the first one. This is Dylan from Northport, Florida. Dylan's done a great job of helping Pub Up Storyline and Mix Shots, some of the other podcasts that are on the Dallas Cowboys Network. And he helps us starting things off on Cowboys Pregame Live with our fan-submitted question. Dylan, take it away.
Hey guys, Dylan from Northport, Florida here. I love this segment. This is such a cool idea you guys have. Great stuff, great stuff. My question for you is, how does this interior Cowboys offensive line match up against the Browns' nasty defensive line, and specifically their defensive interior? Thanks.
He's got a great setup there, too. I mean, my goodness. Maybe we'll get an invite to the podcast studio one day. He brings up a great point. Interior offensive line matched up against Cleveland's interior defensive line. They've got guys like Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Maurice Hurst II, Quentin Jefferson there as well. There are multiple guys up front. How do they match up this time around?
I think they match up well because, like I said, they play a lot of even. Every now and then they'll put Myles Garrett in, but they play a lot of even front. That means that you're playing over the guards with a space that is open to the linebacker, and that's Jordan Hicks, a veteran guy back there. So BB has nobody on him. So maybe in nickel they'll put somebody. But see, BB is free. We got Tyler Smith. We got Zach Martin. Them are beasts. Them are all pros. I'm not worried about that. All we have to do is make sure we run enough to keep them honest and keep BB clean so he's a helper and not a guy that has to deal with a guy straight up. Now, as long as you don't have to deal with a guy straight up with a quick move, and that's only against the pass, I worry about that, we should be the dominant force.
Who do you feel like is more of a challenge for the interior offensive line? Because you do have Tyler Smith and Zach Martin helping the rookie out by being on both sides. You got all pros on both sides for Cooper Beebe. But do you think it's the power or the speed of the Cleveland defensive front that's going to challenge them?
It's the power. They like to get into you and get their hands inside you and stand you up so their linebackers can run. They got some good linebackers. I think Delvin Bush, and we talked about Jordan Hicks, and then they got a guy named number 6 named Jeremiah. I can't even pronounce his last name.
Wusu Koromoa.
Because he pop up on the screen. It's something bad happening, baby, number 6.
There are a couple things to look for whenever it comes to that offensive line, and I think having Tyler Smith and having Zach Martin there are both big time. They're both a huge thing to move forward. Now, outside of those two guys, do you think, we haven't talked anything about Terrence Steele, do you think he's ready to take a step up in the next direction?
I think the mental step. Last year, he fought a lot of the mental time during the game. You know, he had a few inconsistent games, and it was mental. I mean, he was surgically ready to go a month before the season, but I don't care what anybody says. When you have a total blown knee, it's still a mental thing. If they can run the ball early and let Steele lay hands on them, we're going to be back in working.
Back in business.
Working. Yes, sir.
Back in business. Yeah. I love it. Nate Newton breaking it down for you. Now, we do have the inactive list for both teams today. So it's nothing big from the Cowboys side of things. I'm just going to read off this list. Trey Lance, he's the emergency third quarterback, of course. He can be activated, break glass in case of emergency. Andrew Booth, Buddy Johnson, Matt Waletzko at the tackle position, rookie Ryan Flanoy at wide receiver, and then John Stevens Jr., who's been dealing with a hamstring over the last couple of days. He is out today, so something to look forward to is maybe getting him back in the fold throughout these next couple of weeks. However, on the Browns side of things, it's a little bit more scarce. Jedrick Wills Jr. was an inactive earlier in the week. He was ruled out because of an injury. He's their starting left tackle. Jack Conklin, the starting right tackle, is also unavailable for the Cleveland Browns. So That's a big loss for Cleveland. How much are they going to have to adjust without both of their tackles?
Oh, a lot. Because the first guy you mentioned, he is an all-pro. He got skill set like you would not believe in Wills. He is a great left tackle. That already hurt me. They was going to move Conklin over, but now Conklin's out, so that leaves DeJuan Jones and James Hudson to be the backups. We should feast. We should feast.
Excuse me. We got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting choked up.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I understand. When you got
the left tackle
like that,
and the right tackle
both out,
both being out. That's a lot here to take in. Now, when it comes to the offensive line and what they're trying to figure out going into the year, or defensive line rather, for the Cowboys, do you feel like this helps some of those guys out, like a Mozzie Smith, knowing that the interior is going to have a lot more pressure on them?
Yeah, but and I hate to be the Debbie Downer to this, but Mozzie is not who I'm worried about. I'm worried about Linval Joseph and Jordan. Those two guys. I'm hoping that they can come up and step up and help Mozzie understand what he needs to do. Like Hankerson did last year. For Mozzie has to get in his mindset that I am not the playmaker. I am the assist maker. I'm the guy that's eating up bodies, taking up space so that our linebackers can make the play. So Mozzie has to get a mindset that I'm not the man. I'm the guy that's going to make the man.
So, of course, the Cowboys' offensive line is going to have plenty to look forward to whenever it comes to Myles Garrett. Later in the show, we're going to talk about these edge rushers because not only is Myles Garrett one of the biggest and best in all of the NFL, and we'll talk more about his impact for the Cleveland Browns, but we're also going to talk about Micah Parsons and what he brings going into year number 4. Are the expectations too high for Micah? Is that something to look forward to? Now the expectation is certainly there for Dak Prescott. The new contract, but there's a lot outside of the contract that he's going to have to look forward to. Here's Dak on the pressure at hand and hopefully why he's going to be here for a while.
Oh, that's what motivates me on being here, honestly, is to be the quarterback that does it, that wins it. I don't think that winning at any other place would be the same as winning it here. And so that is number one and one to be here, to be honest with you.
What are some of the bigger challenges of the Browns defense? Obviously, they're one of the top defenses in the league, but just in breaking them down film-wise in your meetings, what are some of the things that stand out?
Yeah, I mean, they got an elite player on every level, whether it be Myles Garrett, obviously up front, Jock, don't know how to say his last name, the linebacker, and then obviously Ward in the back end, and Dell put a lot of guys. So when you've got an elite guy on every level, that obviously is the strength. And then having played Schwartz earlier in my career, understanding what he wants to do, and watching their tape last year, they're very physical, they're fast, they know know how to play to their strengths, and they're a great matchup for us, and I'm excited for us to kick off the year over there at their place.
So Dak Prescott, the new paid man, and what does he have for a challenge going into his first game with the new contract? How about the top passing attack defensively in all of football? The Cleveland Browns were tops in the NFL in terms of passing yards per game, total yards per game last year, and they bring a fierce pass rush as we welcome you back in here to Cowboys Pregame Live with Barry Church and Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Now, Barry, I'll start with you on the defensive side. What does this Cleveland Browns defense do best?
Well, to me, they rush the passer. All right, when you have a guy like Myles Garrett out there who can rush the passer, doesn't need to add extra blitzes, doesn't need to bring a linebacker or a nickel guy out there, he can get after the quarterback himself. That provides so much more cushion for you in the secondary because you can make those windows cloudy for the quarterback. You have a lot of people dropping in depth to make everything cloudy for you. So when you're able to rush the passer with just those 4 people and still generate pressure, that makes things a lot harder for the opposing offense.
And to complement that, and then obviously you have the defensive backs, and those guys play man-to-man very well. When I say very well, I mean top 5 in the NFL. When these guys play man-to-man coverage, these guys are in the top 5 in terms of not allowing any positive plays to happen on the outside. Those guys are going to create a lot of problems in terms of being able to come up, pressure guys. So you talk about Jalen Tolbert, you talk about CeeDee Lamb trying to get his feet back underneath him, obviously after having not done training camp. These guys are going to test that, and they're going to test out the timing of Dak and CeeDee.
Now, what does Dak have to do in order to have success against this defense? Because he signed the richest contract in the NFL. I guess the expectation is now you got to be better than everybody else, right? That's where it starts.
Yes, expectation. I mean, but the reality is, and most people don't want to understand this or really accept it, Dak Prescott does really good versus man-to-man. However, Dak Prescott historically has not done very well versus teams that do well with disguises. And he's playing against a defensive coordinator in that of Jim Schwartz. Yeah. He is an absolute beast, and he's a Jedi warrior when it comes to disguises defensively. So even though Dak just got the bag, Dak is about to face, that's the best thing that's happened to him in his life financially. He's about to face probably the harshest thing against him in terms of schemes.
Yeah, to me, he just has to be himself. He just has to go out there and take full command of this offense, just like he did last year. I mean, last year he cut down his interceptions from 15 to 9. He boosted his touchdowns up from 23 to 36. This man has just got to be himself, be cool, calm, and collected in the pocket, and please, Cowboys, have a balanced attack. All right, I understand this is the highest paid guy in the National Football League, but you don't have to rely solely on his arm. Throwing the ball 40 to 45 times a game, that's not the recipe for success. Have a balanced attack when going against one of the strongest defenses in the league.
I like it. Keep it simple. That's exactly what Dak Prescott needs to do. DeShaun Watson, it's been pretty simple for him so far. With Cleveland, it hasn't been good. You look at the completion percentage, under 60%. Look at the passing yards. He still has some production in terms of yards, more touchdowns than interceptions, but that passer rating has taken a steep drop. He was one of the best quarterbacks in all of football during his time with the Houston Texans. What has gone wrong for DeShaun Watson over these last 3 seasons with Cleveland?
I can't really put my finger on what's gone wrong with DeShaun Watson, but I do believe that he's still a capable quarterback out there. When you look at it, last year, 6 starts, 5-1, and he has those weapons on the outside that we spoke of a little bit earlier. You got Cooper, you got Jerry Jeudy, you got Njoku, who's a mismatch nightmare out there. Not to mention you have a great running attack. You might not have Nick Chubb, but you got Ford out there as well. If this guy can have a balanced attack and you can keep him clean in the pocket, I still believe he has the capabilities of being a danger to any defense.
I'm going to call a spade a spade. He had off-field issues that caused distractions, and then he had injuries that caused distractions. He hasn't had opportunity to really prove who he is as a quarterback since he's been there unimpeded of issues. So now all of a sudden he steps on the field. I'm not convinced that he has the arm strength or the velocity to deliver the ball like he once did back in the day down the field. I don't think he's no longer a threat in that regard. So when you take that element out of his game, all he really has is guys that are going to be either wide open or utilize his legs.
And I think you're right on, because it is a combo of both. It is the fact that the off-field distractions have been there. Teammates, there's been some mishaps in the locker room throughout. I mean, then you add on the injuries, you add on the rehabs. He's only played in 12 games with the Cleveland Browns. It's not a whole lot of time to get established. Now, he did have a healthy offseason. He's been around this program, and he has some weapons to throw the football to. Let's start with the tight end position. David Njoku has become one of the best tight ends in football, mostly as a receiving threat, but also he's a really good blocker.
Yes,
that might actually be his calling card before being a receiver. When you look at what he does well from the tight end position, Barry, what does it say to this defense?
To me, he's a mismatch nightmare when you look at a guy like Njoku. I mean, he has the size, the speed to run away from any linebacker out there, as well as safeties. And if you try to put a cornerback on him because you think, oh, this guy can cover him, he's big body enough to box him out. He's like Shaquille O'Neal when it comes to going against these littler defenders out there. And when you get to the red zone, this is when this guy comes alive. They love to split him on the outside or put him in that slot position and let him work one-on-one either against a smaller corner or a safety coming down to guard him. So this is a mismatch nightmare, and this is a guy that the Cowboys have got to know where he is at all times.
You know what? He's top-heavy, built like a Chevy. We're a Ford family. So the thing is, you got to go out there and get your hands on him at the line of scrimmage. He is physical, but if you allow for him to get going, he's like a juggernaut. So stop him at the line of scrimmage, take away his confidence, and you guys would be perfectly fine playing against Njoku.
Well, sticking with the theme, I mean, let's talk about Jerome Ford then, right?
There it is.
You got Chevys, you got Fords, you got all sorts of stuff to look forward to. Jerome Ford replacing what Nick Chubb was as the starting running back. Of course, Nick Chubb injured. He's out for the considerable future for Cleveland. But there's not that much of a drop-off whenever it comes to Jerome Ford. What does he do best?
He is agile. This dude is agile. He's explosive. You start talking about the things that he's able to do at the line of scrimmage. Not only do you have to worry about him running in between the tackles and them pulling guards and him getting up on your second level unimpeded, that's a threat. But also you have to worry about the edges, okay? They're going to be running guards and tackles, pulling those guys, going out trying to kick out Micah Parsons and take his element out the game. And then if you allow this guy to out-leverage you and you lose containment, now you have to worry about his speed, because this dude got clocked at 21 miles per hour last year on the field. He has that go juice, whether he's toting the rock or whether he's catching the rock out the backfield.
Yeah, like you just said, Isaiah, man, this guy, he may not be as good of a back back as Nick Chubb when healthy, but you cannot sleep on this individual. Like you said, he's more than just a in-between-the-tackles runner. He has that speed to be able to be a home run threat. He did average 4.0 yards per carry last year for the Browns, and sneakily good out of the backfield. 44 receptions from this guy last year, so you got to worry about him in the pass game. You got to worry about him in the running game, and this is a guy that the Cowboys defense cannot afford to sleep on.
No, not at all, especially with as poorly as they stopped the run last year. That's going to be a huge point. I think when we're here talking on Cowboys OT and Cowboys game night post-game, however they fare against Jerome Ford in the run is going to be a big tale of how we feel about this team after 1 week of action, because stopping the run last year was a big problem for this Cowboys defense, and they'll be tested again today. Cowboys are going to look to run the football with a new but familiar face back in this offensive game plan for the Cowboys. How about Ezekiel Elliott making his return today? He's not going to be wearing 21. He'll be wearing number 15. Here's what he had to say about the return and the task at hand, trying to run the football again, doing a little bit of everything for this Cowboys offense.
I mean, I feel like I've always had that mindset, so I don't think it's really a change from anything. I mean, since I've been here, whatever the team needs me to do, I'll go out there and do it, and I think I've done that. So, I mean, I love football. I love this game. So, I mean, every time I get a chance to strap it up, I'm going to go give my best.
Some of these guys have been here, since the last time you were here. How has this locker room changed, though, from 2 years ago?
I mean, obviously you have turnover, but I mean, you got a lot of guys who've played more football and, established themselves. But I mean, the guys who are young are a little bit older, and the guys who are old, really old.
You think about, what you've been through a little bit physically the last couple of years, and then going to New England, a different, system there. How much do you feel like you want to prove how much juice you still have left in the tank?
I mean, that's every year. Every year I want to prove how much juice I have. Like I said, every time I strap up, I'm looking to put my best foot forward and go out there and compete. That's what I'm gonna do.
So the Cowboys have a new look running room. How about Ezekiel Elliott, his return back, Dalvin Cook, who was not elevated today, by the way, so we will not see Dalvin Cook as a Cowboy for the first time. And then Rico Dowdle, who I think from a production standpoint hasn't had the same success as these other two have, regardless of where he's been, but maybe has the best opportunity for a step-up year. Let's talk a little bit more about this running game with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Nate, I'll start with you on this one. Who has to step up out of this running game, and where are the expectations for the Cowboys running back room?
I think Rico Dowdle, you talked about it earlier. Rico Dowdle has to step up. He's got the explosion that we need to make big breaks, but that's after Zeke soften him up. Just let Zeke start the game, pound him up inside to get everybody secure and get a rhythm going, then let the change up be Rico Dowdle.
Okay, so you want Zeke to be the tenderizer.
Yes.
Okay, all right, the game's changed a little bit. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go with Rico Dowdle as well, and I hope that they find a way to utilize Deuce Vaughn in this offense as well, just to change that pace. You need that, right? And if you're not going to utilize him, then Rico Dowdle is your change of pace in this backfield that steps on the field today. But he is the most explosive back. You cannot just have a couple yards in a cloud of dust. That's not going to work against this Cleveland Browns defense. You have to have some kind of big splash and some kind of threat from that position group.
Yeah, you might as well make it 3 in a row. I'm with you guys when you talk about Rico stepping up. He's the most explosive back this team has right now. And when you talk about expectations for this room, I believe it'll be a running back by committee type of room when you get there. I believe all these backs throughout the season will get plenty of snaps. They'll be better in short yardage and goal line situations than they were last year, but overall productivity, I do not see them being as productive as this room was last year.
See, and I think that's a lot of what the expectation is for this running back room, is it will be a step back, but it's almost like a wanted step back. Now, real quickly, you talked about running back by committee. I think all of us kind of are in that mindset whenever it comes to those three. But there's always going to be one that emerges as that either first snaps or in crucial situations they're on the field. Mm-hmm. Who do you think that guy is right now?
Early on, I'm going to say it'll be Ezekiel Elliott. Okay. I feel like he'll be that tenderizer. He'll get the most carries early on. But as the season progresses, him being in his, 8th year, I believe, in the league now, I think his tires will get kind of thin out there, and Rico will continue to take over as RB1 as the season progresses. But early on, it'll be Zeke.
Yeah, and Zeke's going to have them run flats all day long, but at the end of the day, you need them all-weather tires, and all-weather tires are going to be Rico Dowdle. The reason why? Because he can run the ball down the hill, he can pass or take out the backfield, and he's your only guy who has the big play outside of Deuce Vaughn.
I just think whoever get hot. out of those two guys. Whoever get hot, and then they move up Dalvin Cook every now and then. Whoever gets hot, I think, because Coach McCarthy been through this before. Yeah. And whoever get hot and who's the hot back and doing that thing today, I think that'll be your back.
And whoever protects the ball.
Yes.
Whoever protects the ball is going to be your primary back. If you cough the ball up, then your cousin's going to be right there on the sideline.
Like me earlier. That's a part of it.
That's true.
That's part of it. Now, I am excited to see Zeke back. I am. Because there's a lot that he brings to this team from a pass protection standpoint, from a short yardage standpoint. I mean, he scored 12 touchdowns in 2022, his most recent season here. But he also brings some personality and some leadership to the table as well. Take a look at this. Let's go all the way back to Ezekiel Elliott. We've got the what do you call this? The two-top or what? Or not two-top. Crop top. That's what it is.
I better not see you no two-top.
Yeah, two-top, whatever it is. You got the crop top Zeke. You got all that. But here's the thing. On Cowboys Pregame Live, we're also all about accountability.
Of course.
This is a new segment called Explain Yourself. And we're going to let Isaiah stand back explain himself for the first time.
Understand this, okay? That was back in 2007. I knew Zeke the Freak was going to be coming years later, okay? So I just went ahead and started the style ahead of time so that he didn't have to go ahead and hit everything head on. I just laid the groundwork for him. I laid the groundwork for him. You see, you know what? You guys shaded my abs out of there. There was some abs in there before. I don't know what happened there. I felt that.
What's with the mean mug? What's with the mean mug there? I mean, you're like walking in. You got the sign up.
This back in the day when we had big receivers. You know what I'm saying? That's when it was myself, T.O., you know what I'm saying, Miles, Austin, Sam Hurd. We had a lot of big receivers. So you couldn't go in there soft. We was expected to go in there and hit linebackers like Barry Church.
You got to.
Oh, my God.
It's the eyes. The smiles in the eyes. The smiles in the eyes.
It's the smolder.
You see it.
The stand back smolder is what it was. And then you got the eye practice on there with the little eye.
That was T.O.'s line. That was Terrell Owens. Yeah, that was Terrell Owens' line. Yeah, I still have those shirts. The most comfortable shirts ever created. I don't know where he got them from, but I love them.
Did you ever wear a crop top?
Nah, that wasn't my style, man.
You want to know the real reason why? Since we're here explaining, Nate, dog. All right. The real reason why. Let me explain myself. Listen, I didn't like when you get tired, you start getting sweaty. These guys know that. Your jersey sticks to you. Right, your jersey sticks to you, and I used to feel some kind of form of claustrophobia. I didn't like that, so I would cut the shirt from underneath. I would cut it off so that when my jersey stuck, it didn't feel like I was being, you know what I'm saying, being trapped. You know,
you a quick thinker, man. I like it.
You like that?
Hey, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with you.
Yeah, I had a crop top too. I was like 6 months old.
I love it. That's not the only time. Everybody's going to get got all year. Everybody's going to catch a little bit of flack, and it's going to happen throughout the year. But a little explain yourself here in week one. Now, Micah Parsons is going to have to explain himself if he doesn't have the success later in the year. Of course, he's one of the best players in all of football, best defenders in all of football. What does he have to do in order to win the Defensive Player of the Year this year, Barry?
I think you just said it. It's more about the consistency. We understand that he's going to be one of the most electrifying players early on in the season. But as December comes around, the later part of the season, we can't have him fading away. You can't start the first 10 weeks of the year with 11 sacks out there and in the last 7 weeks only have 3. You got to be playing your best ball in December. That way you're on the voters' mind if you want to win this Defensive Player of the Year award and you want to be what's best for your team.
He has to stay healthy. Just straight up, he has to stay healthy. And I'm concerned for his well-being, being that he's coming into the season at 240 pounds. There's been a lot said about him dropping 10 pounds, 10, 12 pounds, and being more agile, being quicker, more explosive. And that's awesome because that's who we know Micah Parsons to be. But we also know after his second year in the league, the added weight because of how the wear and tear on his body when he faced those offensive tackles who are 320 pounds. So I am concerned that his lack of weight might end up being more wear and tear on him, and he might be more subject to injury. Just hope that's my concern.
Just become a better run defender. You have the ability with your explosion to hit backs in the backfield. Force a few more fumbles. You know what? And everybody say every time he dropped, that's a waste. You know what? Get an interception. You got that type of ability. You have a skill set that few have. And if you just grow up in that mind upstairs, you can be the man.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with Micah if he can continue that's success later in the year. December, January, that's when it's going to matter for Micah this year. And he'll have a chance, no doubt. He's been in the running. He's finished second 3 years in a row in terms of Defensive Player of the Year voting. This year, he finished, or 2023, he finished second to Myles Garrett, who we'll see on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage. Now, he had some words to say about what Myles Garrett does well, what he does specially, and then how much of a test it's going to be for the rookie in Tyler Guyton as well. Here's Micah.
Yeah, I think this is it starts from week one. I know Myles is going to go out there and try to get on Guyton a little bit, but at the end of the day, I always love competition. So, I felt that even when we played the Rams and Donald, I feel like if Donald had 2 sacks, I need 2 sacks, just because it's just a competitive spirit. We kind of both know where we are. Garrett's one of my favorite rushers. Him and Max Crosby is kind of like my 2 guys that I'm just so freaking gifted. But man, it's going to be exciting to play against them. This is my first time in Cleveland. Well, besides the draft. But just to be playing down there, to see their environment is going to be exciting.
Guyton talked about how his reps in camp, specifically the losses, really help him in getting ready for this challenge with Myles. And you've talked a lot about your leadership. Do you try and talk to him at all about a matchup like this?
Oh, of course. Guyton knows I feel like, and I kind of tell him, man, if you feel like you can stay in front of me, you can stay in front of anyone. You're strong enough. It's just all about understanding technique, playing when you're tired, the mental side of it, staying tight with your technique and things like that. And, even told him, I was like, bro, you're so long and fast that switch it up, bro. I was like, bro, at this point, you got to realize it's a chess match. I was like, before you got to see things who was in front of me. He was like, but I saw you beat Tyron. I said, that's different. Tyron taught me how to beat him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to teach you how to, slow me down at least, So it's all about the process, and he's going to continue, getting better. And I think this week's going to be a really good test for him.
Myles Garrett, of course, he is the test that Micah Parsons is talking about when alluding to Tyler Guyton in his debut at left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year has been wrecking quarterbacks' backfields and all sorts of different things throughout the last couple of years, and he's going to try and do so again today against the rookie. Back here with Nate, Barry, Isaiah, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Now, guys, I want to talk about Myles Garrett. What does he do specifically? Isaiah, I'll start with you. That just completely terrorizes other offenses.
Well, the first thing is he was created and not born. Let's just go ahead and start with that. This dude's 6'4", 280 pounds of grown man, and he doesn't do anything that's flashy. He's not like a Micah Parsons-ish, where it's all about speed and agility. He's just simply bigger than you. He uses leverage, and he just uses his strength to be able to overpower his opponent.
Yeah, without a doubt. This guy is a freak of nature coming off of the edge. He has the speed to beat you off the edge. He has the power to run right through you, but he's more than just a pass rush specialist. As you saw about those 17 tackles for loss, he plays the run extremely well. So the Cowboys will have their hands full with Mr. Garrett this afternoon.
Now, Nate, I know that you've gone up against some big-time edge rushers in your day.
Yes.
You've gone up against some of the best in the business. Myles Garrett is the best in the business of this day and age of the NFL. You can help out as much as you want to the rookie offensive lineman.
That's right.
But he's still going to get home, right?
Yeah, he's going to get home if you don't have proper technique, and that's what we're going to show you today, that Tyler Guyton has to have proper technique with a little bit of help. We can get him some help early with the tight ends and situations like that. I don't suggest that we use a running back. Okay. He only gets in the way. He is perfect when it comes to dealing with running backs and tackles together. But tight ends, you can hesitate them a little bit, and we hope to show you with these young men here how
Let's
to
do that.
Yes.
It's time for a little bit of Newton's laws. That's when you know we're really
gravity.
back, is when Nate brings out the chalkboard, brings out the mannequins. We're going to use it all the way through. How are we going to try and help Tyler Guyton today?
Okay, one way we're going to, you stand over here. This is Myles Garrett, believe it or not.
Biggest one in the room,
We're going to let him
right?
stand right over here. But now this is the way you're going to, this is the first way you can help. We can take a tight end and send him in motion. And he'll stop right here. Now, he either can come up on the line, or he can stay kind of semi off the line. Now, check this out. Come here. Tight 5 technique. Tight end helps me because he can go across him, or he can go outside of him, or he can just hesitate. He can hesitate right here and then release. Or he can go to a 6. 6 technique. Yes, sir. In the gap. Same thing with the tight end. 7 technique. Right here. Boom. Same thing. Tight end can help me. And I'm sitting, stand square, getting ready to use my hands. But when he goes out to a 9, I jumped the gun. Come back in here. Myles Garrett. Now we're going to do a short motion. And hey, Isaiah told me what a short motion is. Boom, and we can have the same thing. We can come up on the line, or we can be back off the line. He's doing his thing. He's slowing this guy down, giving me a chance either deep set or either short set him with my hands inside, going to the nearest aiming point. But now, when he goes out to the 9, I need for my tight end to hurry up and get out of the way. I need because he's going to hinder me, because that means I got to drop back deep, boom, with my shoulders as square to the line as I can. Where Mr. Guyton has his problems is he likes to turn and grab. And if you watch Special Edition, Isaiah had a great point there, so go back and look at it. Boom, he likes to grab. No, when you grab here, he will belly you up and bull you into the quarterback. Or he will make you miss, and he will lean into you and hurt you. And that way, when you turn, there's that. And all the reasons why you should not turn. But now, check this out. These hands is what's going to save him. This kid got great feet. Boom, boom, boom. And he can recover. Go inside. Boom, I got you, Myles. But where he messes up is he want to grab. Yeah. He want to go out and grab. What he has to do, listen to me, is boom. As soon as he get in his space, he's got extra long arms. He got to be there, butt, leg back. He has to put his hand on the nearest thing to reroute him. Make him spin it, and come back inside. Go to your strength, your recoverability with your feet. Yeah, make your hands be an asset to your feet, not the other way around so you get twisted and you get turned. I'm telling you. I'm tired even thinking about you, Myles. Wow. Thank you. Hey, thank you. But, hey, that's what he has. He has to use his hands.
That was one of the big knocks in his draft stock as well.
Sir.
Whenever we were talking about Tyler Guyton and whether or not he was worth that 29th overall pick, it was the hands. It was way he was there. Footwork, size, capability, strength, that's all there. But it's something that, of course, the front office felt pretty good about. And little Newton's laws to get us underway.
Yes,
and as we look back here, we talk about the front office for a little bit. We've got a chance to catch up later on in the show. We're going to talk to Cowboys COO and one of the members of that front office, Stephen Jones. And then we'll also talk to Trayvon Diggs. We'll have an opportunity to look at how his return has taken a step in the right direction. Plenty more to come throughout here on Pregame Live with Nate, Isaiah, Barry. We also have Nicole Hutchison, who has a little bit more on how one of these defenders spent his Labor Day weekend. Nicole?
You know, Kyle, we spend so much time acknowledging what these players accomplish on the field. Well, now it's time to give them a little recognition of what they do in the community, because that's what this Dallas Cowboys organization is all about. Let's take a look at what Osa Odigizua did for Labor Day weekend while everybody was sipping their drinks by the pool, spending time with friends and family. This is what he was doing, helping 17 expecting mothers prepare for their children to be born, providing so many different essentials, from strollers to changing pins, playpens, diapers, wipes, blankets, you name it, he had it. Visit OsaOdigizuaFoundation.org if you want to donate, Cowboys Nation, so make sure to try to run it up. Kyle, back to you.
What a cool thing for Osa Odigizua and his foundation. I mean, as a recent father myself, I mean, I can see the type of impact that happens and the way that ends up working out for families. I mean, that's huge moving forward. So there's a lot to look forward to whenever it comes to this Cowboys team and this Cowboys season. But we've got some new segments, too. We just did Explain Yourself. We just did a little bit of a quick feature there with Nicole. But we've got another new segment called Call Your Shot. Call Your Shot.
There it is.
Call Your Shot. That's how you know it's a new segment, when the host doesn't even know the name of the segment. Call Your Shot. We've got some rules here. We're all starting with 5 points. 5 points on the board, and that's what's going to take us through the entire season. We can wager this amount of points, anything within the 5, from the beginning all the way through, with a bold prediction every single week. So whenever you've got that bold prediction throughout the week, you've got an opportunity to make up more points. So you can wager 1 for another point, you can wager 2 points for another point, so on and so forth. So Barry, I'm going to let you start things off. What's going to be your bold prediction this week?
Well, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket, all right? I'm not going to go out there and just throw it out there. But for me, I'm going to put 1 point towards DeShaun Watson throwing for over 300 yards. Hey, I understand the secondary is loaded, but you got Diggs coming back from an ACL injury. You got Bland out for the first 6 to 8 weeks, so you got Carson, a rookie, starting on the outside. I believe DeShaun Watson may be able to go over 300. Not that they're going to win the game, but he's going to be able to throw over 300 yards. I got 1 point on it.
You got 1 point?
Got 1 point on it.
Man, I'm going 3 points.
Oh, he's going broke.
Okay, 3 points right off the top. All right, top deck.
Right off the top?
Right off the top deck. And I'm going to say Tyler Guyton, the rookie left tackle, first-round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys, will not give up a sack versus Mr. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. That's right. He's going to stone cold stun him. Hands inside, like my boy Nate Dogg said earlier in the show. And he's going to make sure that Dak is nice and clean because that boy got a pocket.
How many points you putting up towards
3 of them things.
3? Oh, he going broke. Yeah, he going broke.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't brave like that. They average around about 120 yards rushing, 30 carries per game. And I told my guy in the back 115, but he put 120, so I put 1 point on it, so I'm good to go. I'll be leading this thing when it's over.
When it's over, when you got it?
I'll be quick with mine. How about Jordan Lewis will have an interception today against the Cleveland Browns? I like Jordan Lewis and what he's done throughout the offseason. I think he's gotten all the way through. I'm only going to go 1 point. Gotta keep it quick. Gotta keep these points throughout the year. Let's check in live from Cleveland, Ohio. Nick Eatman is now joined by Cowboys COO Stephen Jones.
Thank you, Kyle. And I'm here with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer, and he's probably a little bit tired because it's been a long night, but very excited. Do you have any money left at all?
No, I had to take the bus up.
Yeah.
Out of money, no money for the jet fuel, so we're here today. But no, we're fired up, and adrenaline's running hot. And I know when I talked to Dak this morning and told him we were done, he said he's ready to go earn it and do his part now. So we're looking forward to that and fired up. We just made up our mind. He's the leader of this franchise and want him to be that, obviously, for at least the next 5 years at a minimum. That's according to the contract. So, no, we're not all fairness. We are just he's the guy for us, and look forward to a great future.
And I know for all fans, what they want him to, win games, throw touchdowns, make plays. But dealing with him as a person and as the face of your franchise, just how important is it to have that guy be the leader that he is?
Well, that played a huge role, and why we made this decision to go with him is that he is a proven leader. He's as good as any we've ever had through the locker room in terms of his leadership ability. He's the Pied Piper. Everybody wants to get in behind him. He does things the right way. In my opinion, we have yet to see the best of Dak. I mean, he works so hard at this, and I think most quarterbacks will tell you they only get better with time as long as they stay healthy. I was talking to Tom Brady earlier, and he said that's the number one quality you want is the leadership and the hard work.
Well, don't punch me if I ask you, but, does Micah Parsons now say, hey, or are we going to take a little break for a little bit?
Well, I think Micah wants to go out there and kick some butt, which I hope he does, and get him about 20 sacks this year, and then he'll come smiling at me, I'm sure, next off season.
And then after that, you won't even be taking the bus. You'll just be walking around everywhere. No, but let's talk about this game specifically. You said emotions are high, and obviously about playing this game in Cleveland. What are your expectations with what to expect against the Browns?
Well, this is a really great football team. They obviously went to the playoffs last year with 5 different quarterbacks. They play great defense. They're physical. They love to run the ball. They got a great offensive line. We've got our work cut out for us here. Opening up on the road against this football team is going to be a big challenge. But I think we're up for it. We'll go out there and work our ass off and compete. And, I think good things will happen for us if we play the way we think we can play.
When you were in the draft, really all 3 days of the draft, the first day you got Tyler Guyton, and then the second day you got Cooper Beebe, third day Kalen Carson. All of them are starting in this game. When you drafted them, did you think that these guys could be people that could help us right away?
Absolutely. These were guys, when we picked them, we really they met all the things that we were looking for in terms of a player. Obviously, a guy like Carson, later on in the draft, you just smile big when something good like that happens to you. But from the day Carson's walked in the door, he's been competing to get on this field. And we got another guy late like that, Bland, who won't be here today. But it's great to have a guy like Carson that can step in, and we think he's going to do a great job today.
Okay, two quick ones. CeeDee Lamb, as far as pitch count or limited, you feel like he'll be limited at all?
Yeah, we'll just feel him out as we go, is what Mike's plan is, and make sure that we told him he needs to pay attention to what his body's telling him, and but we think, you know, he's going to be able to do most of it, if not all of it.
And then you
feel good about it.
Sorry about that. And then your running back committee, it starts with Zeke, but you're excited about seeing all of them. Huh?
Seeing them all. I think they can all play a big role in this game, and like the group there. Know they'll go out there and run hard, and I think give us an edge in the running game.
All right, he's already got one big victory today with the contract being done. Let's see if we can get another one there.
Sounds great.
All right, that's Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Kyle, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nick. Back here with Barry Church, Nicole Hutchison, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the first week of Cowboys Pregame Live, the new Emmy Award-winning pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys. If I could, I would love to thank everyone who's had their hands on this show over the years. This show's been going for nearly a decade now, and it started from day one. And this show finally won its first Emmy for studio show this past year. It was really a great moment for our entire crew, both on camera, behind the scenes, and everyone who had a hand in Cowboys Pregame Live over the years, and especially for the fans at home. For the Cowboys fans and those that tune in to watch our pregame coverage every week, we thank you so much, and we could not do it without you. But that is going to do it for our show today. Cowboys-Browns, 3:25 kickoff on Fox. We'll be back with post-game coverage. Cowboys game night, Cowboys OT starting after the game. For Barry, Nicole, Isaiah, and Nate, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you later.